and the suffocating pre-dawn of May 25, 1942. The basement under the 14th Naval District Headquarters in Pearl Harbor pulsed with a life of its own, a sealed concrete womb where time lost meaning and the war was fought in whispers and numbers. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry insects, casting harsh shadows on the faces of men who had forgotten what sunlight felt like. The air was thick with the smell of hot metal from the IBM punch card machines, their reels spinning endlessly, sorting holes that might spell salvation or doom. Teleprinters hammered away in the corner, their keys striking paper with the relentless rhythm of a heartbeat under stress, spewing out yellow tapes covered in 5-digit groups that marched in endless columns. JN25B, they called it, the Japanese Navy's cipher, a monster of 33,000 additives that shifted every day at midnight Tokyo time, designed to bury secrets so deep no Allied mind could dig them out. Clara Ellison sat at her Underwood in the far corner, her fingers flying over the keys with the precision of a machine herself. 26 years old, recruited from a drab insurance office in Seattle, where she had typed policies for fishermen who never came back. From Alaska, she was here because her speed test had clocked 100 words a minute without a single error. The Navy needed typists, not thinkers, and Clara's badge made that clear. Clerk typist. No analytic clearance. Retip the intercepts onto clean sheets. Triplicate carbons, no smudges, no questions. That was the rule. But Clara had grown up in her mother's quilt shop on Pike Street, surrounded by bolts of calico and patterns that demanded perfect alignment. A quarter inch off in a seam, and the whole quilt puckered. Numbers were just another pattern, threads waiting to be matched. The shift had started at midnight, and by 0417 the dungeon was in its quietest hour, the analysts dozing over their desks or pacing with cigarettes that glowed like fireflies in the dim. Clara fed a fresh sheet into the platen, her eyes scanning the raw tape. 5294181307647291118, 5239074. The groups blurred after hours, but something caught a faint shadow on the paper. A double strike where the ribbon had begun to fray. She paused, rolled the platen back, and there it was. The ribbon had snagged earlier, tearing just enough to leave a ghost imprint from a previous message. Two sequences overlapped, sent 36 hours apart. Message 1, timestamped the 23rd of May 0210 Zulu, 529418130764729. Message 2, the 25th of May, 0158 Zulu, 529418130864729. The first and third groups identical, the middle differing by 1 digit. Clara's breath caught. Japanese operators, hurried in their radio shacks aboard cruisers or carriers steaming somewhere in the vast Pacific, had reused an additive block. Under pressure from admirals demanding faster transmissions to evade American direction finders, they had slipped, recycling a segment of the key. It was a crack, tiny but real, in the cipher's armor. She finished typing the page, her mind racing. The ribbon spool was worn, the fabric splitting along the edges from constant use. No one else noticed these things. The analysts were too buried in theory, subtracting random additives, building matrices that collapsed under their own weight. Clara palmed the torn section of ribbon when no one was looking, slipping it into the pocket of her skirt. The shift ended at 0600 and she waited, cleaning the keys with a soft cloth, her heart pounding against the metal hidden there. That night, after the day shift took over and the dungeon filled again with the clatter of new tapes, Clara lingered. She volunteered for overtime, claiming backlog, and when the others filed out for chow at 1800, she stayed. The supply closet at the back was her sanctuary, a narrow space stacked with boxes of paper, spare ribbons, and cleaning solvent that smelled of alcohol and pine. She wedged a flashlight under her chin, its beam narrow and yellow, and spread the ribbon on a crate. Using a stub pencil pilfered from a desk, she transcribed the overlaps carefully. Night after night it became her ritual. The closet door locked from inside with a simple hook, and she worked in the humid dark, the distant hum of the ventilation fans her only company. By the second night, she had 3 more ghosts, ribbons confiscated before the yeoman tossed them. Each tier revealed another reuse, additives repeating in bursts of 50 or 100 groups, operators cutting corners to meet quotas. Clara mapped them on the backs of requisition forms, drawing lines between matching sequences, subtracting to find the differentials. The numbers began to reveal themselves, plain text peeking through like light under a door. AF appeared first in a cluster around water reports. Then aircraft counts, 108 planes, fuel, 4,000 tons. Clara's childhood in the quilt shop came back in waves, the way her mother would lay out pieces on the floor, rotating them until the pattern emerged. These groups were pieces, skewed but fitting if you turned them right. She used chalk stolen from the blackboard, coloring differentials in shades she remembered from fabric swatches: rose for water-related, indigo for air, ochre for fuel. On the 9th night, June 3rd, she had 14 solid overlaps, enough to strip 3 full additive pages. The fragments coalesced. AF condenser failure imminent. AF aircraft complement 108. AF requires 4,000 tons fuel. It was a target, a big one, and AF was the designator the Japanese used obsessively. Clara knew she couldn't keep it secret forever. The risk gnawed at her breach of clearance meant court-martial, or worse. The lives were slipping away with every unsolved tape. She chose Ensign Theo Langford, the young analyst who tapped jazz rhythms on his desk when frustrated, his fingers drumming in the mood in Morse. Theo had noticed her lingering, asked once if she needed help with the machine. She showed him the charts at 0200, slipping into the main room when it was empty. Theo's eyes widened under the magnifying glass he used for fine work. "This is ... impossible, you're the typist." "I see the seams," Clara said, her voice steady despite the fear. "They reused the key. It's bleeding through." Theo didn't dismiss her. He was a pianist from New Orleans, drafted into signals because he could hear patterns in static. Together they took the ribbon ghost to Commander Rochefort in his cramped office behind the safe. Rochefort, unshaven, uniform wrinkled from sleeping in it, studied the evidence under a green banker's lamp. His eyes, sharp as broken glass, flicked from the ribbon to Clara. "Explain." She did, step by step, the overlaps, the differentials, the emerging text. Rochefort listened without interrupting, then nodded once. "The water ruse. Midway sends a clear message about evaporator failure. If they bite, we know AF is Midway." The test was set. Midway garrison broadcast: "Evaporator failure, freshwater critical, request parts." 41 hours later, the intercept came: "Aft distillation plant damaged, send technicians urgent." The additive matched Clara's ghost number 7 exactly. Rochefort cabled Nimitz. The Admiral moved the pieces. Enterprise, Hornet, Yorktown steaming northwest under radio silence. Clara stayed in the dungeon through it all. June 4th brought the first reports, tapes piling up faster than ever. She sat at her Underwood, stripping additives as they came, Theo feeding her the keys from her charts. Fingers raw, nails splitting, blood dotting the keys where the spacebar bit. Many enemy planes 180 miles bearing 320. Akagi hid multiple bombs burning fiercely. Kaga listing heavy secondaries. Soryu abandoned crew in water. Hiryu under attack dive bombers. Each group decrypted in minutes, passed up the chain. When the Yorktown took torpedoes, carrier dead in water fires uncontrollable. Clara's fiancé, James Harrow, was on the rescue tug alongside. She typed the message, folded the sheet, handed it to Theo. No tears, not then. Victory confirmed at 10:26. 4 carriers sunk. The Japanese fleet crippled. The room went still, the machines hummed the only sound. Rochefort gathered the ribbons, the charts, locked them in a safe with a label. Source clerical error. Clara's name erased. She typed gold star letters after, 312 of them, each one the same words for a different boy. Returned to Seattle in 45, married a quiet librarian who never asked about the war. Taught quilting. Kept the WWII key in her pocket, smooth as glass. In 1987 the archives opened, her annotations found. Historians came but Clara refused. Died in 2001, obituary short. The museum case holds the ribbon, the seam that saved Midway, the pattern invisible like her. 2. 1s fast.